Okay,
I'm ready.
welcome everyone to EduSmart's Professional Development Series. My name is Devanshi. I am the marketing coordinator for EduSmart. I will be a part of this presentation more in the background, so please feel free to use the chat to ask questions, engage with us. I will be monitoring that and am forwarding those questions to our presenter, Dr. Rosales, today. Additionally, if you are interested in receiving an attendance certificate, please leave your full name that you would like on your certificate and your email in the chat box at some point in time today, and I will get those certificates to you. So while Dr. Rosales is setting up, I just wanted to take a moment and kind of introduce what EduSmart is to those of you who are unfamiliar with what our team does. So since 2007, EduSmart has been passionate about supporting science teachers and students by providing TEKS built content designed to engage students and help support teachers and make learning science fun and memorable for all of our students. Our headquarters is in Austin, but we support campuses all across Texas. In addition, our Florida expansion is taking off, so hands up to Florida, all thanks to the leadership of Dr. Arlene Kaur. So Dr. Arlene Kaur, if you won't mind waving your hand there. There she is. We serve over 1,000 campuses in Texas, over 250,000 students and teachers. EduSmart is constantly being improved to reflect the ever-changing demands of our users. A little bit about our presenter today. So Dr. Ava Rosales is the former executive director of the Miami-Dade County Public Schools Department of Science, the fourth largest school system in the United States. She is a veteran educator and administrator of over 32 years experience in science and STEM education and learning, leadership, and teacher professional development. Her tenure in the public school system has realized systematic sustainability of STEM programs, initiatives, and community collaborations. Dr. Ava Rosales believes in and remains committed to the national movement of systemic reform of STEM education. So basically saying she is the most brilliant person in the whole entire world. So if you could please give a huge round of applause to Dr. Ava Rosales.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I don't know about being the most brilliant person, but I thank you all for being here, and I look forward to these next 30 minutes of looking into inquiry and remote or blended learning science classroom. Thank you all for being here with us. Uh-oh, what happened? My slideshow is not advancing. Okay, there we go. Technology, gotta love it. So I'd like you guys to take a moment, and you're going to receive a poll. So if you could respond to this quick poll that's going to basically ask you, how comfortable are you with implementing inquiry in a digital classroom? So not comfortable, somewhat comfortable, very comfortable. We see the poll is running.
You have
We've
about
got all
10 seconds to respond.
So about 10 more seconds.
Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Excellent. So we're going to review the responses at the end of our presentation today. And of course, as we would in the classroom, we expect that slide, that scale to slide more toward very comfortable. Very good. So my next question for you is, what are your goals for today's session? And if you would please go into the chat and just jot down, and we'll take a few responses. You'll have about 30 seconds to do that. And this time I'm going to use my rain stick. So when my rain stick stops, you should be finished with your entry.
Okay, so we have Stephanie saying her goal is to learn more tools and strategies on how to implement meaningful inquiry. We have Lynetta saying how to use EduSmart to increase inquiry. We have Maritza Torres to learn more technology, and many, many more.
Excellent. So hopefully we will be getting to don't know why my presentation sticks. Okay, so hopefully we'll be getting to some of your goals for today's session. What we will be doing is reflecting on inquiry in a digital or blended learning environment, demonstrating how inquiry can be incorporated within a digital or blended instructional block, and reiterate the integration of technology in instruction to enhance teaching and learning. So I'm going to take you back to when I was in 5th grade and I read this great story about the Australian outback and how students were using two-way radios to go to school. Now that was in 1976, just to give you a little bit of background on when I read that story as a 5th grader. Here we are now 4 decades later, and we've been thrown into a predicament, not just for rural areas, but for metropolitan areas as well, with distant or remote learning. So how does inquiry fit into this environment? So again, I'm going to push you into your chat, and inquiring minds want to know, what is inquiry to you? So again, take about 30 seconds to pop what you feel inquiry is, and what does inquiry look like? I'd like to know that from you.
So as people are responding, we have Keith saying students finding the answers. And Sita saying dig deeper and using critical thinking skills. Sandra saying promoting effectively. Stephanie with self-discovery and analysis of information to form a solution or answer. We have discovering the world, gaining knowledge. Students asking some questions.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I heard a lot of student, questioning, discovering. Perfect. So today we're going to dig into Roger Bybees, Dr. Roger Bybees' 5Es instructional model. And this is an inquiry-based model that we are going to look at. And if you're not familiar with Bybees' 5Es, it is engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and you evaluate along the way. It is a very student-centered, constructivist approach, as some of you mentioned, that students get to discover first. So it's the activity before the concept. And the students are the ones who actually do the explaining of the science concept, and the teacher is, guiding the student along the way using formative assessments so that we can keep it as a student-centered model of instruction. So what more relevant or timely concept than the water cycle, especially now? We have probably the most active Atlantic with storms and hurricanes going on, and this is a real-world example of the water cycle in action. So I'm going to explore the 5Es further using EduSmart.
The water we use today has been on Earth for millions of years. Ancient sea life lived in it. Dinosaurs drank it, and you use it to wash up in the morning. Water is recycled on Earth by the water cycle. Let's see how the water cycle works.
So this was the engage portion of our activity using a portion of the instructional module. And then I would push students into an activity, the water cycle descriptive investigation. You'll see there is the experimental design, there are materials for the teacher, and then there are several reflection questions and conclusion. So I've pulled out the questions from that activity, and you'll see where the students will have the opportunity to explain in that particular experimental design setup what portion represents the sun, what part represents the ocean, how are the ocean and the sun interacting to keep the water cycle going. And then their last question is, are there any elements or steps in the water cycle that may be missing from this model? And then as an evaluation, you are pushed back to that original question in the opening of that instructional module, where it asks students, are we drinking the same water that ancient marine organisms swam in and that dinosaurs drank? So it really gets them thinking again from that initial prompt in that engage, for them to further think about the water cycle and how is all this water being, reused through systems along the way in the water cycle from ancient time to current time. And one of the ways that we want to grab students' responses is through technology. So these are just a few examples of technology that are used in the classroom. And I want you to, again, jot down some of your favorite resources that you use with technology in the chat box. So you'll see that we can use things as simple as a substitution for pencil and paper with things like Word, Docs. They can do movies, which have an audiovisual component to them for the students through iMovie. Streaming, Office 365 products are very good for capturing student responses digitally. And then we can do things like we're doing now through a webinar where we can actually, face-to-face, virtually, have students respond. Devanshi, is there anything in the chat box?
A lot. We have EduSmart, Nearpod, Kahoot, Clickers, Flipgrid, Wavelet, Jamboard, Peer Deck, Mentimeter, Peer Deck, Quizlet, Google Education Suite, Quizzes, Jamboard, Teams, Nearpod, Clickers.
Excellent. So you are very well versed in technology and implementing it in the classroom. So the beauty of implementing technology is because not only is it a cool thing to do, it is a necessary 21st century skill, as we saw when we suddenly were thrown into virtual learning in March, because for the students who were used to using technology in the classroom, it was not as big an upheaval as those classrooms where technology was almost non-existent. So it's very important to bring our students up to the 21st century. And even when we go back to brick and mortar, that we need to constantly include technology in our instruction. It allows for differentiation. It allows for students to explain themselves and demonstrate their understanding in a variety of modalities that also meet their learning needs. So here's another component of the EduSmart resources. This is a journal activity. So here we have students further explaining their understanding of the water cycle. So we have a drawing of the water cycle on one side and the model similar to the investigation they did earlier, whether that investigation is in class. And I'm going to show you one that's simpler that they could do at home. And they're simply asked now, they're pushed to using the scientific concepts and the appropriate terms of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So they have to indicate where in this lab setup are those three terms occurring.
Let us review what we just learned. The water cycle involves the processes of evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, and infiltration.
So here we have two additional terms, and this is again that same instructional module, but we've now brought it where the students have been explaining all along, and now the teacher can nudge them and really push them to think deeper and look at terms such as transpiration and infiltration. And then of course we have our summative evaluation, where there are quizzes in EduSmart, and the students can take these quizzes either online, or there are PDF versions that can be uploaded in your school's assessment platform that you use, that the students are familiar with. And always we want to hit that other E, the elaborate. I find the expositor is a really good resource for this, and it takes students through a little deeper dive into the water cycle, really hitting home more real world examples. And then there are suggested activities for the teacher. And you will see that in this case, there's also a hands-on activity where students use small clear containers, they add rocks and sand and food coloring, and they actually recreate a little earth. So to recap, we used lots of technology and EduSmart in the 5E instructional module or model. We started with the instructional module for the engaged. We took a portion of it and to really get the students thinking. Then we went into exploring using hands-on, and it is critical that we are always doing hands-on with students. We can use virtual labs or simulations when it is very hard for students to recreate the activity doing hands-on materials, but we always want to have students using hands-on in science. Then we had them explain using technology. We used the journal activity to also help them to explain their understanding further. We pushed into the instructional module one more time for deeper understanding and explaining, and further enhance their understanding of the water cycle using the expository. And there are also wonderful readers that also have questions where we are evaluating at every step of the 5Es. So inquiry in the remote or blended science classroom, I want you to keep in mind, as you said in the beginning, it allows for students to build their curiosity. It allows them to further question what's around them, question the natural world, and it deepens their understanding. Because once again, they are always doing activity before concept. You're allowing students to explore, to question, and you're guiding them as a facilitator of that knowledge along the way. So I hope that we demonstrated today how inquiry can be incorporated in a digital or blended learning environment, and that we reflected on inquiry in a digital blended environment. And together we reiterated the importance of integrating technology in teaching and learning. So I'm going to ask you now to take the poll one more time. So Devanshi is going to release it to you.
Hey, you should see the poll ahead of you. How comfortable are you with implementing inquiry in a digital classroom? You have 30 seconds.
Oh, let me get my rain stick.
The rain stick. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. And let's see. Dr. Rosales, would you like to share the results from before and
Okay.
after?
Certainly.
Oh,
So these are the results for the second poll.
for
And
the
we,
first poll.
okay, oh, I think I had a delay. So here's the first poll. And you'll see where it was 17% not comfortable and 60% somewhat comfortable and 23% very comfortable. And in the second poll, we did see a shift. Beautiful. We went from that 23 of very comfortable to 47, and we went down from 60% somewhat to 50. And of course, we really went down on the not comfortable. So congratulations to you all. Give yourselves a hand, a virtual clap. And thank you so much for joining us today. And now I will open up for questions. If we did not address any of your concerns or questions through the presentation, or if you wanted further elaboration.
We have one question from Lisa. Her question is, how do you upload PDF quizzes to your EduSmart account?
So in your, in the content library, you have a space where you can add resources. And you can take your PDFs and upload them in the EduSmart portion for your content.
And Lisa, I have your email, so I will take what Dr. Rosales just said and email it to you step by step after the presentation.
That's a great question. Great question.
Any other questions? I know it takes a moment to type up your questions, so take your time. We're here for you.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen with the other support from EduSmart. And we do have some of the personnel online. We have Dr. Arlene Fondacor, and we have Mark Dunk.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
We have one question from Van. I noticed that 5th grade has a great IMC. Will the other grades have those?
So I'm going to let the technical crew respond to that. And for those who don't know, IMC are the instructional module companions, which are graphic organizers. And you can upload those into Google Classroom. And I will turn that over to, will that be Mark or Arlene?
Mark, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. For the instructional module companions, we've currently pushed those out for our Texas customers in 5th and 8th grade, and we're going to be slowly expanding that to the other grades. For Florida, 5th and 8th will be the target initially, and those there probably are already some that are live. We're just going to start rolling them out as they get completed. So, and then we're also working on making the instruction module companions in Google Docs format as well. So if you're a Google Docs kind of person, that is going to be an option down the road. And in honor of Dr. Rosales, I used the water cycle as my background today. So.
Awesome. That's another great use of technology. We are doing our Zoom activities.
There was a question about Palm Beach going live.
Yes, we have a question from Scott. Do we know when it will go live in Palm Beach? Love the trial version. Can't wait until it's live.
I've been messaging with your technology people all day long, and it's imminent. That's about all I can say at this point. Yeah.
It's close. Thank you for the question.
Any more questions? We have a question from Leonel. Is there a way we teachers can get the EduSmart software instead of just relying on using the internet? Due to the COVID and everyone being online, the internet in our region can be a little weird. There are times when EduSmart Online can take a good while to load. Mark and Arlene, could you help us with that question, please?
I'd like to say, can you hear me?
Yes.
That there are resources within EduSmart that are PDF format that could be uploaded and distributed to your teachers. Some of those include our note-taking guides. They also include some of our quizzes that could be used as well in a PDF format. Mark, do you want to add to that?
Just that, you know, we did make a conscious effort about 5 years ago to go online just because of the ease of keeping our product updated and to be able to easily roll out improvements. So I certainly understand the, you know, the problems that you're facing. And I think what Arlene said is, you know, probably one of the best things that you can do.
We have one more. We have another question from Anacita. Can you link EduSmart quiz results to the gradebook?
No, those cannot be linked directly to your gradebook, but we do offer the ability to push those grades out into an Excel document so that you can easily copy paste those into your gradebook.
Any other questions? These are very good questions.
We do. We had a district trial of EduSmart, and it was on the single-use app for students to use on our portal. If a campus purchased it, can we get the same access?
So yes, if you purchase it, we have students access and teacher access, and we would encourage you to do that.
I just want to clarify that. Are you talking about our original product that was installable software? Because if that's the case, we no longer support that product. We're completely online now. So some of our original products were based on CDs, or you could get a copy to install on a central server in the district. We no longer sell that product. We're completely online now.
Did that answer your question? Looks like it. The responded, students have a place to click on the app, but it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like you had our older product, which was installable software, and that's no longer supported, and we're completely online now, subscription based.
I would add to that, Mark, that if that software was indeed purchased, we are not restricting access to it in any way. And if it's not available, then it's something you need to take up with the district personnel. But also, you know, we need further clarification that you might be talking about, there's also a single sign-on app that works with our new product, which is you can go to, you know, your district hub or you know, whatever you call your portal, and then students are able to access with a single click without needing to sign on, and that's possible with our new product as well. So I think we need a little clarification on whether, okay, good. So you are talking about the single sign-on app, and that indeed is possible. We support all kinds of different single sign-on standards, LTI, SAML, etc.
And that is the voice of everything EduSmart.
Sorry, I was in the background. I'm simply.
Here's something from, I think there was another comment.
Yes, Todd and I spoke about assignments showing up for students before their planned date. Has that been fixed yet?
Yes, I believe that's been fixed. That was an issue with future dates. I believe that's been fixed. But if not, probably by Monday at the latest. Let us know if you don't see it.
We have about 5 more minutes for questions. Any more questions out there? I mean, if there are a lot, we can go more than 5 minutes, but if there are any more questions. How did we get our hair to look so good? Anything, we'll answer all of them.
But I do encourage you to, I mean, EduSmart really is a wonderful platform to use, especially now. And even when you're back in the classroom, you have to continue with digital instruction and allowing students to, you know, move at their pace. It's really good for intervention. It's good for flipped classroom, for students to move ahead, to learn or to read up, because you want students to be excited. And one of the best tribute to education is when you see a student sitting, reading ahead in the textbook, or, you know, going through digitally and being able to access content just because they're curious and want to learn more about science. So
We have another question. Somebody's asked us to clarify about the single sign-in for students. So the way it works is, you know, depending on what technology your district is using, we would work with them. And typically we do this more at a district level rather than a single campus level. And that's more because the district personnel are not likely to help much if it's only a single campus working with us. So at a district level, we do automated rostering now, which gets updated every night. And then what happens is, based on whatever single sign-on application you're using, whether it's ClassLink or you want it connected to your Schoology or whatever, a Canvas LMS, we are able to do that. But we would need to kind of connect with your district technology people to help out. Great.
Hopefully that answers your question. Any more questions out there for us? If right now, I always know for me, as soon as the meeting ends is when I have my 6 questions. By all means, please contact us. You have our information on your screen. We are always ready to help you out. Please keep checking our website for more webinars in your near future. Otherwise, I hope you all had a wonderful day at work and your Wednesday just keeps getting better from here on out. Again, if you have any questions, do contact us. Thank you so much for joining us today. We had a blast hosting this for you. And thank you, Dr. Rosales, for this wonderful presentation. Another round of applause for you. But yes, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.